Today we're testing the LG SM8600. It's a mid-range TV in LG's NanoCell series and the replacement to the SK8000 from last year. Like most LG TVs, it has an IPS-type panel, and we'll talk about the effect of this later on in the video. We bought the 55-inch size to test, but it's also available in a smaller 49-inch variant and larger 65 and 75-inch models. We expect these other sizes to have very similar picture quality and performance. It's also available in other regions, like Canada and the UK, although the last 3 digits of the full model code vary slightly. We expect these international models to also offer the same performance. First, we'll look at the design of the TV and then move on to the picture quality. We'll look at the motion handling, input lag and sound, and then compare directly to the LG SK8000 predecessor, the Sony X850F, and the Samsung RU8000. If you'd like to skip straight to our test results, then see the links in the description down below. The design of the SM8600 looks very impressive, similar to other LG models. It sits on a crescent-shaped stand, which looks great and supports the TV well, but can wobble a lot around the plastic support. A single button to control the TV is located under the LG logo at the front of the TV and provides basic functions. The borders of the TV are thin and look good, as they're made of metal and give the TV a premium feel. Moving around to the side, the TV is relatively thin and so can sit close to a wall. The build quality is okay, with a mix of plastic and metal parts. All of the inputs are located on the back of the TV. 2 HDMI ports and a USB port are directed out the side, which makes them a bit easier to access if the TV is placed close to a wall. The rear of the TV has all of the usual suspects, including a composite input with the required adapter included in the box. Moving back around, we can look at the TV through a thermal camera. Here we can see the warmer area at the bottom edge where the LEDs are located. There is also an interesting thermal pattern on the screen, which may indicate the shape of the TV's chassis or location of electronics behind the LCD itself. Now we'll move on to the picture quality. We'll be comparing to currently available TVs, but competing models may change as new TVs are released throughout the year. For an updated comparison with new models as we buy and test them, see the review page on our website, which is linked down below. So we'll start with the contrast ratio. A high contrast ratio is important for those who watch in the dark to produce deep dark scenes. The SM8600 only has a mediocre contrast ratio, as expected for a TV with an IPS panel. This performance is very similar to last year's SK8000 and is worse than TVs with VA-type panels like the Samsung RU8000. The SM8600 has local dimming, which is usually used to help improve the dark scene performance by dimming LEDs behind darker areas of the scene. Unfortunately, on this TV, it doesn't work well as it only has large vertical zones and so can't be effective. With high settings, it also causes distracting changes in brightness. Now, although IPS-type TVs have a low native contrast ratio, they do also have the benefit of wide viewing angles. This means that the image remains accurate when viewed off-axis, which is good for those with wide seating. This is better than most TVs with VA-type panels like the RU8000. If you've got a bright room, then good reflection handling is important to reduce the amount of distracting glare. The SM8600 offers excellent performance with a semi-gloss finish that diffuses reflections across the screen and reduces their intensity. It's better than the RU8000 and in the same ballpark as the X850F. Another important factor for those in a bright room is the peak brightness of the TV. A high SDR peak brightness doesn't mean that the display will be too bright, but rather that you'll be able to turn up the backlight to increase the brightness in a bright room or with lots of glare. With a full screen brightness of about 280 nits, the SM8600 has a decent brightness, which is fine for most rooms. In a bright room though, it may have trouble with a lot of glare. If you watch HDR content, then you'll want a TV that can produce bright highlights for an image that pops. The measurement of our HDR real scene test pattern provides a good example of what might be typical, as it shows a bright highlight which covers about 2% of the screen area. Unfortunately, the SM8600 is only mediocre. This means that highlights don't pop as much as other HDR TVs. We also take a photo of each screen's uniformity on our 50% grey test pattern. This does vary between units, but we usually find that the unit we buy tends to be representative of most people's. This is because it indicates the level of quality control of manufacturers and any uniformity issues which are a result of the type of technologies used. While this photo is only of a grey image, it shows how uniform the screen is regardless of the specific colour shown. In this image of the SM8600, we can see that the edges are a bit darker, which produces a vignetting type effect, which some people find distracting. Overall though, it isn't as bad as the centre of the screen remains relatively uniform. Also important for HDR content is the ability to produce saturated colours. The SM8600 can produce a wide colour gamut, which is good, and is an improvement over the SK8000 from last year. We also measure the HDR PQ curve of each TV. This plot shows the relationship between the input signal and the brightness of the TV. This grey curve shows the measurement of our TV compared to the yellow reference curve. It's very accurate, which is good for those who care about an accurate image. So now onto the motion handling. If you'd like to learn more about motion on TVs, then see our videos series, which is linked down below. If you watch fast-paced content such as sports or plan to use the TV for gaming, then a fast response time is important to reduce the amount of motion blur. The SM8600 has an excellent fast response time. This is great for watching sports or playing games, as shown by the very short blur trail behind our moving logo photo. Also visible in the photo are logo duplications, which are a result of the 240Hz PWM flicker of this TV. Now, if you want the clearest image possible, then it helps to flicker the backlight and reduce the amount of persistence blur. The SM8600 can flicker at 60 Hz to match most fast-paced content, which is great, and results in our very clear moving logo image. So, for gamers or those who want to use the TV as a PC monitor, a low input lag is important to reduce the delay between an action and when you see it on the screen. The SM8600, like most newer LG TVs, performs excellently with a very low input lag regardless of the input signal. This is great and results in responsive gaming performance. This TV also supports auto low latency mode, which means that it will automatically change to provide the low input lag when sent a signal from a new Xbox or PS4. On to the smart features. The WebOS smart platform of the SM8600 and other LG TVs is excellent. It feels smooth and responsive and is very easy to use. The LG Content Store provides access to many apps, and YouTube, Netflix, and Amazon Video come pre-installed. The SM8600 also comes with LG's Magic Remote, which makes navigating the interface or even entering text very intuitive. Now for the speakers. The sound of the SM8600 is subpar. It doesn't get very loud, and the bass doesn't have much thump or rumble. For better sound, it's recommended to add dedicated speakers or a soundbar. So overall, the SM8600 is a good TV with an IPS panel. It's best suited to an average lit room with wide seating, as the image remains accurate when viewed at an angle. It also has great reflection handling, but can't get bright enough to overcome a lot of glare in a very bright room. Also, when viewed in the dark, blacks appear grey and blotchy. The SK8000 is the predecessor to this TV, but we don't have it anymore because after we buy TVs, we keep them until they're discontinued. It offers almost identical performance to the SM8600. Both TVs have almost identical brightness, contrast, and reflection handling. Between these two, go with the cheaper model. The Sony X850F is also a very similar TV in the 65-inch model that we bought. These both have IPS panels, but while the LG has lower input lag for gamers, the Sony can get brighter to overcome glare. Note that the 85-inch model of the Sony has different performance with a VA-type panel, so you can see our review linked below for a comparison. The Samsung RU8000 has a different VA-type panel, so the best TV between these two depends on your usage. The Samsung has a high native contrast ratio, so is better suited to a dark room, while the LG has wider viewing angles, so is better for those with wide seating. So that's it. What do you think of the LG SM8600? Have you bought it? Let us know down below. You can check out all of our measurements on the website. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become an insider on the website to access our latest results first. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.